stock database which I created earlier, and these are the stock one stuff.
Data. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, now Veeru sir will take this.
Yeah.
Okay, can you able to see my screen, guys? Guys, can you
Yes.
able to? Yeah. Right. So I'm going to be take you to this. I hope you guys, everyone knows the Secular database. It's not a new thing. Right. Uh, on the SQL side, let's say why the company wants to give you a tool to build a data related insights. Is it mandatory? That's a question mark, obviously, right? So why they need to give? So no need of it. Simply, I can say that no need of to do that. So then, how we can create an insights, right? So they already have a database. Let's imagine they have one application. They are saying like we are a startup, or so the client is not giving the funds for this, right? So we wanted some like insights. That insights you can generate it by using a SQL, or else they can say that based on this, right? So we wanted to be take the value and then put it on the presentations like a PPTs, and then weekly ones they will project it or share the information to all the board of directors or managements, right? So they don't need to be specially required a tool. That is depends on the companies again. Everywhere again that budget, resources, and everywhere it is important. So in this context, so I'm trying to be, so let's imagine a company called XYZ company. So they are a startups, right? So they don't want to use any tool. They don't want to use any BI tool. They said like we have an application. In that application, we have a databases and we have a data. And based on that, try to generate a insights. So in that context, right, I'm going to be take you through this journey. So here, obviously, you guys knows the DQL. I don't need to tell what we can do by using a select star from table name or something. We don't need to do anything. So all of stuff you guys directly use, write a subqueries and all the stuff you can make your own stuff. Now let's see this how we can use this MySQL database. I don't need to give special introduction to the SQL Secular database, which is used to for which one? The rental purpose. I can simply say this that is used or made it or created that data is purely a rental movie. Rental movie that we can understand by exploring that schema, and sample data is nothing but ER diagram, right? So people still think ER diagram is not a useful, but for me, with my experience, I'm telling like, right? So it's like a sample diagram, but no, it's not a sample diagram. It is going to tell that entire business, how it is happening, how the data flow is happening. We can easily understand when we go through the ER diagram. Right. So that is I can say that reference. I can simply say that that is a reference that we can able to generate it by using a reverse engineering concept. Right. So obviously, so the database designers, they will use the forward engineering concept. They are trying to be first create the ER diagram. Once they give the demonstration or present to this all the developers, stakeholders, product managers, everyone's once they agree, they are going to be start build the databases. So that way it is going to be happens because sometimes the testers also will going to be involved while the discussions like in the initial days for the forward engineering when they're happening for database designs, the testers also will involve and then they're going to ask the question based on the business requirements because the database has to support that business. Obviously, this is not, we can't say this is a standard approach, this is this thing, it has to be like this. No, the first priority here it is business. Even any application has to be worked like that. You guys can see that Amazon and Flipkart, both are in e-commerce. You guys are going to be agree that the both application is going to have the same database table names? We don't know. Obviously, it's different, right? The business and then operations, logistic, inventory management, and then merchants category, there how they are handling totally different.
SQL data, it will be like, the database designer will.
In the database designer, initially, I'm talking about. So that no, data is always trying to be generated by using an application. No one is going to be like manually add the data. That is damn sure. Right? In the production environment, always the data is going to be generated by using the applications. So someone no need of to in the backend to generate the data. So there is no, we don't require data entry people to do that job.
So let's see, we are using SQL will pull that data from some other.
Yes, yes. Depends. That is depends. It is not SQL means they will may use the ORM, they may use this. Obviously, end of the day, the databases has been communicated by using the SQL. But in their applications, they will use like ORM, their own SQL library, what they made it. By using this, they are going to be communicated to create the DML and DQL both. DML and DQL. That is will take care of by the application. But DDL part will take care of by the database designer. Database designer. I hope you guys know the differences between the DDL, DML, and DQL. Right. So in this context, so you guys can explore this secular database. They have like a beautiful business, right? It's a sample data which is given by the MySQL, but I can say that that's a beautiful database, right? So it's a little, I can't say that's a complicated, that's very straightforward. So they have multiple stores and that multiple stores are trying to be sell that which type of it movies based on the categories or based on the rental time they are serving or they are giving to the customers. The customers, they are collecting the customers' information with their addresses, right? So that kind of information we can able to say this. And let's try to understand in this. With that, we are trying to understand the store procedures and some SQL functions, right? Obviously, are we going to do or we require this kind of a knowledge on this? Absolutely not required, I can say that, but we should aware about it. We should aware about it. That's how we are trying to be discuss about it, this thing. So now let's see here, right? So obviously in this context, we are going to be see the triggers and audit logs, the examples, building analytical dashboard with the SQL and KPI calculation using a functions, and case study is monthly rental summary. So I'm taking one case study. Obviously, I need to take the case study, then only means one use case. I can say that. So the case study I'm taking like monthly rental summary. The duration, obviously, it's going to be monthly basis, right? In this context, we are going to be say this. First of all, let's try to understand what is the store procedures, right? So the store procedures is nothing but use it to execute the complex logic. Store procedures is used to execute the complex logic. I can say that it is a maybe let's say here it is okay. someone has been completed the view, someone may not be completed here reviews. Views are nothing but it's a kind of a DQL statement. Views are nothing but DQL statement. So means rather than running the DQL statement, we are going to be called the view. Reason is the compile time we are trying to skip it. Right. So when you're trying to save our DQL statement as a view, what is going to happen? It's already going to compile and store it as an object code. This object code directly will execute when you call the view. When you call the view, it's same like how you call the table. It's the same way you can call it as select star from view name. But in the view, we can able to give only one DQL statement. Hence, literally what you're doing, the views, which is a option what we have, you can creating a statement as a name, nothing but alias name. You're creating it, you're for a SQL or a DQL statement with the alias name that is going to be stored with the database side. So that you can call by using the alias name. That is nothing but your subquery. That is nothing but your subquery under the from clause. Under the from clause. So that we can able to see. So that is what the view. But the view, I can say that here it's going to be have only one DQL statement. It cannot have have a multiple DQL statements on a view. But store procedure, we can able to add multiple statements. This multiple statements can be DDL, DML, DQL. View can only use the DQL part, means select statement only. In view, you cannot add like DDL, DML, all the stuff. Correct, right? In the from clause, if you are mentioning the view name, from clause, what will expect? Table. Means data has to come as a tabular format. It is not going to be expected to perform an action. But by using a store procedure, I can create a multi-statements. I can create a multi-statements for one of my action or an event. I can do that here. What I can do, I can return a multiple statements that is going to be written a result sets also. That's the reason we can say that it's going to be used to execute complex logic, accept parameters called in, out, both, and can return the result sets, yes, and suppose the DML operations, right? So that we can able to do this, right? So one of this example, let me try to show you guys here. Let's take this. First one is a store procedure has been creating in this, right? What we are trying to say here, get all rentals by customer within the date range, right? So I'm trying to be, so because see this in a view, I cannot able to give any input. For a views, I cannot able to give any input. But we just saw that store procedures can able to take the input like a functions. Like a functions. Functions is going to have an arguments. Try to take this as an input. Now, same way here also, I can able to pass to the store procedures either in, out, and in, out both. So that's how what I'm trying to do. Get all rentals by customer within a date range. I can write a direct SQL statement, but every time what I need to do, I need to change the customer and date range. Correct, right? On my DQL statement, what I need to do, every time I have to replace it. Correct, right? So let's say I'm going to say that the user ID, customer ID, let's say customer ID. I have to replace it, whatever you're going to say that, right, in a statement. And the date range means that is also where clause, means start date and end date. So obviously it's a reusability. So now rather than say modifying my DQL statement, what I'm just, while I'm calling the store procedure, I'm going to give some input. I'm going to give as a input. So that's what we say that. So that's what here In my presentation, you can see here, it accepts the parameters.
Basically automated.
You cannot say automate, you can say reusability.
Okay.
Automate is total different word. You can say that reusability of it. But when you're doing reusability, as I mentioned, you can write a multiple statements within this block. Within this blocks, you can write a multiple statements like DML operations also. It is going to be supports. Not only the select DQL only, it's not only about the DQL. You can use the DML operation to do some other job. But in this context, let's say as a data analyst, I don't care about the DML. That is not my cup of tea. That will take care of by which one? Application. Now, as a data analyst, right, when they said, the company is not giving me the BI tool, the company is not giving me any BI tool. Now I need to focus, how can I use or create a function or a store procedure or something, right? So that I can reuse it whenever I want. Whenever I want it. Let's say this keep on question every week, the guy will come and ask me, give me the last week, this customer about the rental information. Correct, right? So every week this is happening. So sometimes my manager comes and asks me, could you please give for this customers from last 10 days? So that's what I'm doing here. Let's say this has become a report, one kind of information the company is needed for a customer. So that's the reason I'm thinking on the data analytics perspective. In the data analytics perspective, how we can able to use the store procedure. But application perspective, store procedure usage is going to be different. There we can able to use the DML and DDL that is used to so something happen and perform in a procedure. Something can be procedure. It's going to have a multi-statements, a step-by-step procedure, one after another. Best example I can tell you, right? If you sign up any application, you're going to get which one, madam? A profile page will create, a welcome email is going to be happens, right? All are multiple activities are going to be happens. Yes. Right? So that's the reason. See, here, while we are creating the procedure, obviously create object, create keyword. Any object we need to use it. The DDL part of it itself, that is nothing but create. Under create, the keyword is going to be used as a procedure, and there we mention this which one? Procedure name. The procedure name is get customer rentals. Get customer rentals. So that's how simply which are the passing? Customer ID, start date, end date. Obviously the data types are integer, date, and date. In the before
Procedure name is customizable.
sorry, madam.
Procedure name is customizable, or we have to use.
No, you can give any name.
Okay.
It's purely like an object, right? Object names can give any name, right? Object names are going to be any name here.
It can be already existing table also now what you create.
Only secular database. I took the secular database. That's how I mentioned that initially, the data analytics on a secular database. Input. In means input, right? So when you're trying to call this, you need to give this in mandatory input values.
Is it the column?
No. It's an input. It's not a column name. It's an input.
Yeah.
It's like a variable.
Okay.
It's like a variable we need to give. That is what the in means input. Out means output.
This is what we are giving. Customer ID and
Yes, we have to give it as. We have to pass the value. Yes, we have to pass it. We have to pass it. So under the store procedure is a program. Please understand, store procedure is a program, view is a program, function is also a program, but we cannot call it as a program. We can say that that is a query program. That you can call it as query program. So now here in this, you guys can see in this begin and end, we are trying to return that entire select statements. Inside, we use this start date, end date variables. Start date, end date variables, and as well as the customer ID as the variables. As a variables, we can able to use it here. So now here we can able to see in this, obviously, we have a table called rental table. If you guys are remember or not, I don't know. But it's a rental table. For rental table, I'm considered as a left table. As a left table, and then right table, I took it as an inventory. As a inventory. Again, with the, you guys can see this, inventory with the film. Now, inventory is going to be the left table and film is going to be the right table. So that association, right, you guys can see this because in rental, let me try to open that ER diagram. Sorry. So this is a table called rental. In rental, we have only the customer ID, right? So we have a inventory ID, right? So inventory ID means we have to go to the inventory table, from inventory to fill. Inventory to fill means as a user, I can able to take a multiple films. A fill-in can able to take by the multiple users. Many to many association because of the inventory table. We call them inventory table. Here it is bridge table. We can call it as bridge table, right? So now let's try to understand, correct, right? So this association, let's try to here implemented rental to inventory, inventory to fill-in, and rental and payment. Rental and payment. Obviously, the user has been paid or not. We have to know that. That's how what we are happen. Payment. So payment information. That's how we can able to see this. What is the rental ID? The rental date when they has been taken, and what is the filling title, and what is the amount. What is the amount? Reason in a rental table, we don't have an amount information. It is there under the payments table. Right? Again, rental and payment have an association because as a user, I can pay a partial amounts also when I'm taking a rental and movie. There's a partial payments. I hope you guys are understand what is mean by partial payments. In our layman word, we can able to say advance. Let's say if I go to the shop, if I wanted a movie, what are you going to do? Give some advance. That's right. Then I'll take a CD or DVD to my home and then watch it, come back and then pay the rental remaining amount, or else the advance amount higher than the rental price also sometimes. Because you're a new customer to that store, obviously the store guy, how that guy can believe you. Cut, right? Sometimes he'll say, pay that 200 rupees. When you come back, give back the CD, I'm going to give back the remaining amount. Right? So this way, that's a totally, the transaction is going to be happen based on the staff and as well as the customer. The customer is a new customer or already an existing customer. Right? So that's what is going to be happens. So that is the reason to get that. So let's say to get the rental customer rentals information means, right, we need to get that on which date the rental has been happened and which billing he has been taken, what's the amount we agreed for that, right? So that we can able to see here by going through this. So that has been created as a procedure. Now that we can able to see here, get customer rentals. To call this one, if you just simply call this a thunder icon, it is going to be asked you this input parameters saying that mention the customer ID and give the start date and end date. Simply click on the execute. So it is going to be written. Because I'm not passed any value here to call the store procedures, we need to use the keyword call. Need to use the keyword call, and then the obviously database name dot store procedure name and the input parameters. Now let's go back here by understanding in this example. I'm trying to be run or calling this one. See here what is happening. Okay, made a secular database is inactive, and we can able to see here, right? The user ID 1, the duration is 2005. 5 means May 1st, and between May 1st and June 1st. Right? So he took it how many movies? 2 movies, right? So the movies cost is one is $2.99, another one is $0.99. That we can able to see very clear. When he taken means when this rental is happened, one is May 25th, another one is May 28th. May 28th. So obviously, this is a kind of a variables, right? So the playing with the variables. As a data analyst, we need to understand about it, variables. That's we are already discussed on the DQL. What is a variables, right? So the variables, obviously in a programming language also, you guys have it where it is going to be called a temporary value, where you can reusable those things. Now, same way that we are trying to do this, just like in a Python, you are going to be call a function, but it is not a function. It is not a function because it is not going to be written a value. It is going to be written a result set. Result set, nothing but a table. Result set is a table. Correct, right? So here the function is a little bit different. So function is going to be used on the select, means on the DQL statements. But here the stored procedures, you can say that as a part of the logic, whatever the logic you want it to be, that you can incorporate by passing the parameters and then try to get that values. Understood? As a data analyst perspective. Understood, guys? Good. So now that's what. So please try to remember. So there's a store procedures is going to be have usage perspective. Application developers are going to be used in a different direction because their usage is totally different. There they need to perform the DML, DDL, or anything because the store procedure can write a multiple statements, and store procedure can return the multiple results also, not a single result. It can return the multiple results also. So that is the reason the purpose of the application developers are going to be used differently to solve their problems or logics. And the data analyst perspective, this is going to be used as a reusability by passing the parameters. By just passing the parameters as an input, try to get this output. Right? So here the parameters types are in is there, out is there, and in out is there. In out is there, that we can able to see this. Now the functions. Let's try to understand the SQL functions. It is going to be written as a single value. As I said, store procedures is going to be written this which one? Set. Result set means it's a tabular. It's a table, but when you're coming into the functions, it's going to be written a single value and useful for metrics and KPIs. Data analyst perspective again. So all these context here it is data analytics. Application perspective, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. So for a data analyst perspective, we can able to say this is going to be useful for which one? Metrics means calculations. I can simply say is that calculations and KPIs, all are calculations insights, right? So we can say that calculated columns. Did you guys remember in the DQL, right? In the selected columns area using the subquery, So that we can able to make it happen by using the SQL functions. SQL functions can be used inside the select, right? We are going to be use this function where in a select, just like in a normal other functions call, we have some aggregated functions or string functions, how we have it like a count, max, min, sum, or you can say that concat, right? So like upper, lower, how we have the functions, that in that same way we can able to call these functions. But those are the predefined functions. These are user defined functions. This is limited to that particular database only, is limited to that particular database and should be deterministic. So let's try to see here one of the example by going on to the function. Get the total payment by a customer. Get the total payment by a customer. So by keeping or creating as a function, I can able to call wherever I require, or the other people also can reuse this subquery wherever they want to. So here to create a function again, same thing. So create how we use this, which one? Procedure. Here we are going to use it, create function, and then total customer payment by just passing which one? Customer ID as an integer. Customer ID as a integer. Now it is going to be returns. We need to mention that what is going to be returns. The returns is going to be decimal. Obviously, we are talking about the payment. Payment means, please understand, it's not a number, it's a currency. The context here it is currency. That's how we are using the float. Decimal or float, both are going to be the same here. So deterministic and begin saying that here you guys can see it's a logic, obviously, it's a logic. Here declare a total. Unclear means declaring a temporary variable without any value. So that's how we are mentioning that declare decimal, and what we are doing, select statements, right? So that we are trying to be give it to this which one into total variable. The whatever that it's going to get the sum value that we are injecting into which variable? Total value. So that we are trying to be returning here by using if null function. By using a if null function. Let's say if may sum can have a null value because that may the customer does not done any transaction yet with us. Correct, right? So that's how we are saying that the chances are there when you does not have it, obviously there is no records. If there is no happening, there is no record. Obviously, what is happening? The total value null itself is going to become the null. So that's how if null, it is going to say that total, the total variable, if it is null, it is going to be returned the 0. Otherwise, it is going to be returned the total. It's going to return the total. It's like an Excel function. It's like a Excel function. It is going to be written which one? Scalar value. So now you can just pass this saying that select total customer payment. So let's see here. I can able to copy this and go back and see here. I'm trying to be execute as a select. It's written me this. This the customer one has been paid up to $118.68.
You don't need to write.
So which one? Which one you're talking, madam? In this, huh?
We want customer name. Can we write?
Madam, functions always is going to be written a single value. Scalar value, not a table. Not a table. It's going to be written a single value, scalar value for that, because where we are using a function on select. Select means which area? Selected columns area. right? So based on how many number of rows are there, means cell value is going to be scalar. Is going to be scalar. It doesn't matter. You can say this rather than sending a sum value, you can send the customer name. If you given the customer ID, you need to get this which one? Customer name.
So this will not be required.
You don't require. You need to say this declare name string means varchar, and after that say that select name from into name from customer table where customer ID is equals to customer. Now you need to say this return if null, same thing like name comma any, because you mention a wrong customer ID. There is no record at all in a customer table.
It's like if I
It's not like that. It is, you can, if you are okay with the null, you can have it. When I can say that I'm doing, let's say when the customer is not there, I can say this not applicable or not available. I can say that not available. So this way I can able to understand, oh, this with this customer ID, there is no record at all. There is no record at all. That's what.
deterministic also when we are finding customer.
Yes.
So pattern means
Same, madam. Or else you can come down here, right click on it, create a function. You can write whatever you wanted here in the bit. It's see, you don't need to worry about it, how to create it, because the GUI will support to do all this stuff. Only you need to focus which part of as a data analyst select statements, right? This logic is has to be written a table or a single value. Then accordingly, you need to be use the store procedure or a function.
this will have like average sales of the month and they want.
Let's then month means you need to pass the month or month number. Month and year you have to pass it because you want it to be used the same thing on the next year also.
So procedure will give a table, this will be one.
Single value. Right? Just to call the store procedures, you need to use the call method. To call the function, you need to use the select. You need to use the select. But when you use the select, you know what is going to happen. It's going to be generate a table as a result. As a result. Understood, right? So that's what it's going to be happens. Right? So next one is triggers. Right? So I don't know because I think a lot how the data analyst can be used this trigger part when the guys or does not have a BI tool. Right? So correct, right? It's a tricky part, obviously. So we are going to have a limited permission saying that reading the data. Only the reading the data. So triggers is automatically invoked on the table changes. Obviously, it's something I created a table, do something else. Means after and before, or before and after. I can able to say this. Either can be an insert, update, and delete. So the table changes. The table changes when it happens when you do the DML operations. You do the DML operation. So that's what. So before or after for insert, update, and delete. So enforce the data integrity for log changes, log changes, or log changes, and no manual execution is needed. We don't need to call at all. Once this is a setup, whenever is a something is happening, it is going to be triggered. This is an automation. This is an automation now. You can say this. So there is no method to call a trigger. Trigger is automatically will be not update. You can say that call it. Automatically call it what you wanted or what you wanted to be executed, that is going to be executed based on this before or after. You need to mention on that particular table on the insert, update, and delete. Let me show you that one of the example here, right? So I took it as that log perspective only, right? Here how we can able to use it, which is nothing but last update tracking. So we are not going to do this job. Obviously, application developers itself do that, but we are going to be use this log information. So here, yes, sir.
Here is it mandatory to add a delimiter? Like we have dollar symbols.
Yes, sir, because I'm writing, trying to do by using the SQL editor now. So that's why I mentioned the delimiter. So when you go there and then right click on it and then create a trigger or create a function, you don't need to do that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so otherwise it's going to be considered as a, on the SQL editor, it is going to be considered as a normal DQL statement kind of. Okay. So here you guys can see this first example trigger, update the last update timestamp on a customer table. Which one? Last update. Obviously, that's a very interesting one. When they change their profile or who modified their last profile information, if I need it, this parameter, which one? Last update parameter is most useful. Based on this, I can get it. Okay, could you please tell me the 10 customers who modified their profile recently based on the last update? So that's how what we are saying that, see here, this is a common, the create trigger and then trigger me. And when we are doing before update. So this is going to be happening before the update itself, before update on customer table, because in a customer table itself, we have a last update column. Before insert itself, we are trying to be set the value for that column. Before update itself, let's say before calling that, you're just saying that updating the customer name. In this scenario, statement is going to be update the table name, set name is equals to some value where the customer ID is equals to something. That's right. So in this scenario, we're not passing any last update. We're not passing up any last update, but what I'm doing, I'm setting up this for your update statement. Before updating the name on your, I'm injecting another column value here. I'm injecting the another column value. That is nothing but set, obviously set new dot. What is that? New dot last update is equals to current timestamp. Correct? Timestamp. So this is going to be make my job is easier. Means from an application side, every time I don't need to pass the last update value. Sorry. I don't need to pass the last update value. I can pass this which one? Set new dot simply whatever the column value you can able to do that I can able to update it by using last update. So new dot last update is equals to current timestamp, right? So that we can able to do here. So obviously there is another one. There's a deletion log, right? So something if the people are trying to delete the information, obviously sometimes when the people are deleted, I need to know that what they deleted the information. Activity, we can say that activity. For that, we can able to create that payment deletion log. That's the most crucial information. My entire business is going to be run based on the payment itself. The rental business, right? Why the people going to be deleted? I don't know. Maybe they deleted. They created the order, they may be cancelled or deleted or in the draft, something. Maybe in the draft, they can able to delete the feature. Correct, right? The order is in the draft. And the word is, I'm saying that draft. Draft means it's not yet created. Let's say if you go to this stores, supermarket stores, the people are in the queue, the guys still are thinking to take this one or not. The lady is going to do what? Put it this order into draft, taken another new order.
Sometimes also it doesn't show.
Right. So that's what. So that's how we need this kind of it. So that's how I'm just creating here a table called payment ID, customer, staff ID, and amount. and delete at by using some default value with the current timestamp. And here another trigger saying that log delete file means after delete. See here, what is that? After delete on payment table. Payment table. So I'm inserting that record on the payment deletion log table. In another, see, the action is happening where? Payment table. So when this finished, the delete is finished under after delete, right? So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to be insert into the payment deletion log. What is the payment ID? Which payment ID? Which customer? Staff ID and amount by taking the payment table from the payment table by using the keyword called old. By using that old. So which is going to be contains this old dot payment ID, old dot customer ID, old dot staff ID, old dot amount. I created a payment delete log table. So let's assume it. Let's say I'm going to be created and then add this after delete on a payment. So this is going to be very helpful for me. So we don't need to do this thing, right? Where we can use it, I don't think so. As a triggers part of it, as a data analyst, we may not, but data scientist, it's going to be very, very useful, right? So they can ask this because they are also not going to be having access to this. They have to request to the product team or database team or an application team. They have to request is, I wanted why the payments, so payments has been deleted happening. I need that information. So let's example, the customers adding the products into the cart, but after some days, they are deleting. They are deleting. The customers bookmark their products and then they delete it. I need that information somewhere else. I need to keep that information. Then based on this, I can suggest it. You may delete it, okay, but the similar products I can able to get it and then show it there in that. So any point of time, the price has been reduced. I can send a notification to this as it track as by using the log because these guys are showed the interest, but after a couple of days they deleted from their cart. Stop the consumption. We can able to send okay, okay, there is a subscription, you stop it. Right? So there's upcoming month we are thinking to reduce, or from next month onwards the subscription cost has been reduced. Whenever the subscription cost has been reduced, we can send information to them. So that we can able to keep it on the logs as an archive information. You can say that archive or a log or whatever. Right? So that we can able to do it here. Understood, right? So hope you guys are understand this. Triggers is always is going to be works when is a event is happen on a particular table, on a particular data, particular table and data. So that either before and after. You can do before and as well as the after, right? Based on what? Insert, update, delete. So in that, whatever you can do in multiple statements also, nothing will happen. I can say insert in a multiple tables like this by adding into this multiple statements, right? Whatever you wanted to do it, you can able to do this. I mean, it is going to be either within the same table. If you wanted to do within the same table, you need to use this set new with this some column value you want it to be modified within that. Let's say example, I'm going to say that there is a post will be there when the person has been liking. When the person is clicked on the like button, it has to be increase the like count. It has to increase the like count. You can create a separate table and then you can do that. That's totally depends on how you need to do that. Existing table also. But when you're doing an existing table, you need to use the set new dot column. You need to be see existing table, what you can do, any another column. Any another column value, you need to modify that. For that, you need to use the set. Let's say if you want to perform in another table, then what you need to do, either you need to perform insert, delete, update. That you can normal your DML statements. But if you need that table information, then you need to use this old. Which record has been deleted, that associated data. So maximum, when you deleted, what you're going to do, associated data. Let's say you deleted the category. You deleted the category. Then what you need to do on the product table? You also need to delete the related products which is belongs to that particular category. Then here, what is going to happen in the begin and end? Delete from products where product ID, sorry, where category ID is equals to old dot category ID.
Old is the keyword.
Old is the keyword, which is which record you has been selected. The record column values you can able to access by using the old. When using the after, when using the after, when you're using the before, you cannot use the old. You have to use the new. Because in before, you don't know which row it is. No, you can't. Only in triggers. Only in triggers. Only on the triggers. So the new is going to be before because we does not know that on which row or which record it is. But after we know that which record it is, which record you wanted to done the changes, either delete, updated or inserted, that record values or row values you can access by using the old.
How they know the information on that bill.
Got it right? So this is what is going to be happens. Right? So this is about this. Now let's try to understand now the comparison time. So the views versus procedures versus functions. So what is that here? The purpose, what we can say here, views are virtual table, obviously for what? Reading the data. And store procedures executes the logic or operations. What is that? With steps. Steps means multiple. Multiple again, right? So function is always returns a single value. So not your Python function. Please try to understand. So this is a SQL function. And because then only I can use the function on the select, on a select statement. Otherwise, I cannot use it. That is also going to be as a store procedure. That is also going to be as a stored procedures. Now, it is going to be returns. If you go to the view, it is going to be return the result set like a select, like a select. So store procedures are going to be return the result sets or output params. Output params, result sets. That's totally depends on it. How many steps you return, all are DQ statements or DML or DQL or DDL. That's totally depends what you did it. And the output params, let's say you're not written any DQ statements, but by using in the, when you're defining a store procedure, rather than using a in, you can use the out, means that is going to be written as a output variable, as a output variable. That I can use it on another DQ statement or wherever I can do that. Now, the function is going to be obviously scalar, a single value is going to be returned. Can accept the params in a view? No. And store procedure? Yes. Yes. Function is also accepts the parameters. Now, used in a select, the view? Yes, absolutely. Select star from view. Right? So select statement, we can able to use this. Now, store procedures? No. We cannot use it on the DQ statements. And functions, we can able to use that. Can modify the data by using a view limited if updatable view is there. But generally we are not going to have it. Let's keep it in the mind. So you guys never going to have it. That's a complicated stuff. So views means just reading the data. And by using a store procedure, can I? Yes. Because insert, update, delete are going to be supported. And in a function, no. functions, you cannot able to perform any data modifications. Data modifications because it is going to be considered as another subquery on your selected columns area on the DQ statement. So that's how should be deterministic or read only. Nothing but read only. The value is going to be read only, no change at all. So stored in DB, obviously view can be stored in a DB. Yes. Store procedures, yes, yes. All are going to be stored as a program. Nothing but SQL statements. As a SQL statements, not any data. It is not going to be stored any data on this view, store procedures and functions. The data is going to be stored on a table only. On a table only. So best use case, the views are simplify the complex selects. When we wanted to be simplify the complicated select statement, then we can able to use the view. And the store procedure, reusable operations, any batch jobs, we can able to use this one. And functions is calculated metrics or KPIs, means insights, a calculated value. The scenario, we can able to use the function.
Why do you show them using that?
Where?
The idea child comes up.
Yeah, views will be shows. Views and routines. Views are not a table. Views is a program that is going to be contains the DQL statement. When you execute the view, it is going to return the which one table. Table. So that you guys are going to be learning a Power BI. Clear? So obviously, so coming back to this our case study on the overview, build a monthly rental summary dashboard, right? So you can use the procedures to retrieve the data and use the functions to calculate the total revenue and use a trigger to maintain the logs and timestamps. So that all the stuff we try to see here. So let's see this. By going on to this, I wanted to give some exercise to you guys that store procedures. This is with the insert. I wanted to show you one of the example, right? With the multi statements. Just I mentioned that in the starting and the store procedures, I just showed in the begin and end only one SQL statement. Now you guys can see here, I can return this multiple statements, which is like add a rental and payment together. Add a rental and payment because rental table is different, payment table is different. But when I give this information, it has to add on the rental table as well as the payment table. That I can achieve it by using the stored table. But it is not, you guys are not going to do that, obviously, as a data analyst, but I wanted to give an exposure how it is going to do this on the people, means application side. So here you guys can see you need to just pass the customer ID, inventory ID, staff ID, and amount. Right? Inventory ID is associated with the fill-in. So now you need to just pass the inventory ID and staff ID means who's creating this order and what is the amount. You need to just give us an input. Automatically, it is going to be insert on the rental table and as well as on the payment table. On the payment table. But obviously, once it's inserted on the rental table, we need the rental ID to create the record on the payment table. Otherwise, there is no association. So that's how we use this. Set a new rental ID as a variable by using last insert ID function. What is that? Last insert ID. On which table? Rental table. This function is going to be written that primary key value, right? It is going to be written that we are going to be insert into the payment state. Understood? So this is a little complicated for you guys. I know that, right? So for especially for data analysts, but application developers, these are the common. So these kind of things are going to do by the application developers. So the logics, they can build it on the database side or they can build it on the backend side, that is nothing but middleware side or the front end side. Either by calling as two separate requests or they can send a single request, make it happen that they will going to take a call. That they're going to take a call. So just by calling this add a rental, by passing this value, it is going to be create the two records. One is on the rental, another one is on the payment. This is one of the example I wanted to show you. Now, this is a time. So these are things what you guys have to do. The first exercise, create a procedures to return the top 5 rented films in a date range. You guys have to note down. So create a procedure to return top 5 rented films in a date range. And second one, write a function, average rental duration, average rental duration for a film ID that calculates these average rental days. Let's say if I call this average rental duration by passing the input film ID, it is going to give me that average rental days. A movie, how many average rental days they have it. That we need to get. Now create a trigger or a log updates in the rental table to a new rental log table. And on exercise 4, you can say this query to return daily revenue for last 7 days. Return daily revenue for last 7 days. And exercise 5, you need to write a query to find most rented actor in a specific month. Find most rented actor in a specific month. Means if I mention that month, it has to give me that in that month, right? Which actor has been most rented? Actor. Actor means again film to actor. I hope you guys have understood. Done? Clear? Clear, guys? Online guys are clear?
So in exercise for last 7 days means from today or the last day in the database.
Let's say if I say any date on for that, let's say return a daily revenue for last 7 days. For last 7 days. Today minus 7.
Okay.
Let's say it is asked to give right last 7 days revenue, daily revenue, daily revenue. If I mention a date, let's say if I given a date, that date minus 7, date minus 7 means, let's say if I mention today, means what is going to happen? Today revenue, yesterday's revenue, day before yesterday's revenue, it has to display on the no procedure. Why the trigger, madam? No, you are not deleting anything, right? You're trying to calculate it. You're trying to calculating that daily how much revenue. Clear? So total revenue. Clear? Or you can add one more extra by mentioning the store also. Nice, na? If you add store IDs also, it's a good, right? So you can add a store ID also. Right? So you can do that one, and then later you can add a store ID. Now I'm going to get the total overall in my business. Overall doesn't matter irrespective of the store ID from last 7 days, how much revenue I'm getting. How much revenue I'm getting. Let's say if I mention, right, store ID. If I mention that store ID, then in that store, last 7 days, how much revenue? How much revenue? Got it? Understood, guys? Hello?
Yes, sir, yes.
Anyone have any questions for me? Okay. So if you're facing any issue, just message me on the group, your respective groups. I can help on this. Clear? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you.